The garden we selected was the Urban Community Garden. An urban community garden is a garden collectively owned by a group of people and located in an urban area. These gardens developed mostly in areas of poverty where food was needed to be grown in order to meet food security needs for low-income persons. They were designed in the 1970s in order to strengthen the community's bonds and promote overall health. They also were made to reclaim green space in crowded cities for agricultural use. Today, these gardens can be found throughout cities in the world, and especially in the US, and are located everywhere from vacant lots to rooftop gardens and balcony gardens.
City residents use these gardens as a communal resource. For example, the Delaware Center for Horticulture supports 20 local community gardens throughout Newcastle County that occupy vacant lots and public spaces. Each of the gardens that they support is uniquely diverse, just like the neighborhoods that they are found in. These gardens promote a shared work ethic and mutual respect. Each individual is free to use all the garden's resources. However, if all members take and none give, the garden is quickly depleted. This promotes the idea of working together and respect for different people in the neighborhood. It really teaches members of the community how to work together towards a common goal. Urban community gardens were also meant to beautify areas in the city and promote urban activism that emerged in the 1970s. They began as programs to create food security in poor parts of the city. Community gardens have developed further into ways to beautify the city while providing opportunities to teach environmental activism and educate children.
Urban community gardens promote good health in a number of ways. First and foremost, there are the clear physical gains that come from a garden. The food that is grown here can be very important in an urban environment because they enable people access to many nutrients. However, beyond this nutritional gain, urban gardens are also created for therapeutic value. Imagine walking down a row of vibrantly colored flowers and being able to forget the troubles of everyday life. A relaxed mind is more beneficial than people understand. Finally, some community gardens are designed for recreational use where people are able to relax and have fun, which in today's urban world is hard to come by. Tending to the garden is a recreational opportunity. It can act as an alternative to people who may use their energy for violence or other unwholesome activities.
Community gardens evolved in the 1970s during times of poverty. They evolved from economic depressions, war, education, and environmentalism, and have really provided people with a low-cost way to get sustenance. These gardens were initially developed during these times of struggle because garden space was the only thing the government could provide the economically poor people. Urban community gardens benefit the community socially, environmentally, and economically. Communities are brought together by working on a garden that will benefit many members of the community. It allows people to put their food security into their own hands while educating them on food production, which current generations are becoming less and less educated about. People participating in creating and sustaining these gardens are simultaneously learning how to be more self-sufficient. They provide themselves with fresh food that helps encourage more healthy eating practices. Environmentally, creating urban community gardens helps to clean up the air and rainwater in the city while minimizing erosion. It is allowing people to reuse their waste to help aid food production while decreasing the city's carbon footprint because more food is grown and purchased locally. Finally, these gardens help create productive spaces out of previously useless pieces of land that benefit people in the area. They help to create a more prosperous local economy while enabling the city to utilize all of its valuable resources, including compost.
The people who typically engage in community gardening are often underprivileged, but this is not always the case. Over time, the use of an urban community garden has evolved from a need for food into an opportunity for urban people to learn about the beauty of nature and get involved in environmental activism and city reclamation. This shift reflects a population that is starting to become passionate about nature and wants to preserve it in their own communities. Culturally, a community garden reflects the outreach and sense of family within a small section of a city, where everyone bands together to preserve a common resource. This type of teamwork is characteristic of small towns and small communities and reflects the bonds between the people. Rather than a culture specific to a country or a certain heritage-based culture, this type of culture is more of a sense of community and support not seen in other places. Activism and concern for children's health is another reflection of city culture, where these two factors are important to the people, as well as reclaiming vacant spaces and replacing them with green plants. So with all the positives associated with community gardens, we encourage you to go out, find a community garden, and get involved.